Thank you.
Anthony,
Anthony, can you hear us? I think he's working on it. I can see his name also now.
Does he know to unmute?
I don't think his computer is muted. I think only his phone is. No, he is muted, yes.
I'll text him.
Okay.
I just got my computer to work. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir,
Yep.
we can. Thank you, Anthony.
Yes.
It was
Hi,
a
Anthony.
battle. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi, Anthony.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Good to see everyone.
Good to see you too, sir.
We have 11 participants. It looks like we're just about ready to get started if everybody is, right?
Yes, sir, we're ready when you are.
Okay. Then let's call the meeting to order. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
To the flag
The flag
of the
of the United States
States of
of America
America
and
and to the
to the
republic
republic
for which
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands, one
One
nation,
one nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
Liberty.
with
with
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, this is a little bit tricky. I'm using my phone to look at off the suggestion of Sunny. So first order is call to the community. Do we have any community members here? Of course, our role as commissioners are to listen to everybody, but we cannot discuss or take any action.
Anthony, I did not receive any request to speak.
Okay, excellent. So there's nobody from the community that wants to call.
No.
Okay. Our first order of business is Committee for City Parks Development. Mr. Williams will provide an update on the Committee for City Parks Development, which will study and recommend improvements for city parks. Mr.
Yes,
Williams?
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. RPG members, you may remember we've been discussing this for a while. I realized there wasn't a September meeting. So a while back, we had a request to look into putting basketball courts at Scout Park. As you know, they were originally planned back in 2015, but as we've discussed before, there was some question about moving Scout Lodge into Scout Park. So nothing's ever happened with that. And furthermore, there's nothing for the courts in the budget until next fiscal year. So even if we decide to do something today, nothing could be done until fiscal year or next fiscal year. So of course there was some pushback on that issue. So that evolved into let's look at other parks for what other developments are needed. Maybe there's another park that's better suited for basketball courts. Maybe there's parks that need playgrounds updated, benches updated. All that stuff has to be monitored and tracked. It has been in the past, but it's been a while since it's been updated. So that's mainly what this would be about, would be this commission. You may remember from open meeting laws before was that when a committee is created by council action or by committee action, it falls under open meeting law. For that reason, I would not recommend that this committee be fall under RPG. I would not recommend it be created by action of RPG. Rather, it be an assistant city manager's committee over parks improvement, something along those lines. Because that way, it makes it easier. Obviously, that group could make recommendations to RPG. So, but that being said, that's just to give you a little background. Again, I know it's been a while, so we're on the same page. I would actually recommend holding off on this group creation for a while. And the reason why is, of course, COVID is still ongoing. And we're still being pretty conservative with our funds. And we can certainly look at park improvements, but getting the expense done, spending the money would be a little difficult right now. The city is doing okay money-wise. Thankfully, we've been very lucky in COVID. Thanks to our city businesses, we're doing well. But we want to stay on that track because, again, we don't know what's going to happen yet. So for that reason, I would recommend that we hold off on this group until we know further. I'm sure you guys are like me and are hoping that COVID is done yesterday, but we keep going. So hopefully it's over soon. I know that for the city, we're still working from home. And we don't know when that's going to end yet. I mean, we're working from home for the most part, mostly telecommuting. Some of the bigger cities like Glendale, I know they're talking about working at home till like February or March. So We just don't know. But anyway, that's a little more information than you needed. But again, I would recommend at this time that we hold on to this committee until we know more financially where we are. I'd certainly welcome questions if there are any at this time. Yes, ma'am.
So could that be something that if we are allowed to do State of the City in January, which maybe that won't even happen, but could it be something on that agenda so that we get it out into the public kind of?
Well, we can certainly look at doing that. Sure. We could put it out there and say that we're planning to put this committee together. If people would like to serve. We could talk about doing that.
Okay.
Staff is discussing State of the City at this time. We don't know what it's going to be like in January yet.
Right.
The date for State of the City is actually Saturday, February 1st.
Oh, okay.
I expect that State of the City will be a virtual meeting this year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably have council there, but we'll probably live stream it via YouTube or Facebook, something like that. I just can't see it being safe by then to have everybody there. But again, we'll see what happens. That's several months away, and Lord willing, things are better by then.
Okay. Thank you.
But I think we get to answer your question. I think we can definitely look at including that.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the process by which the committee would be formed? Is that a posting? Is that a something in a, as you would any volunteer position on the website? How does that work?
That's correct, sir. What I would do on that, so I would put that out more as a call to the community. And I would say that, we're looking for 5 to 7 members from the city that care about park improvements, et cetera. But one reason I'm holding on to that, to not put that out there yet, is when you put out a call to the community, when you ask for people to be involved in a committee, they want to see something done when they make a recommendation. They want to feel that they're not wasting their time, that something's actually going to get done from their recommendations. And that's one of the reasons I would say to wait, because I think we can put a committee together. I think we can study improvements to be made. But I think once they find there are things that need to be made, they're going to want to see them done. But yes, sir, we would put it out there to say we're looking for 5 to 7 people from the city, people that are interested in parks, et cetera. They would need to be a city resident, so on and so forth.
May I ask a
Matthew?
question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it my platform?
Yes, ma'am.
During our last meeting, I recommended that we kind of have a mixed age on this committee.
Sure.
And I think that's really important to do that. I don't know if there are rules that they have to be over 18, or possibly they could be members of our junior council already. I think that's key.
No, we could definitely open it up to younger ones. It's more, that's again another advantage of doing it through the assistant city manager's office, is that way you can be more open for things like that. I mean, obviously you can't say that we're going to have 3 people over 50 or 3
Right.
people over 20. You can't get into that. But we can make it more broad so that people under 18 can be involved. The hard part with my experience with committees is just is getting people to want to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be great if we could have a good group to want to be involved and serve. Sonny, do you have something to say along those lines?
I did. I would get away from calling it a committee. We did this with the city center. It was a assistant city manager's working group to study parks. Call it a working group, not a committee, because then that's
Less formal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me. Other questions on this? Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other improvements to the parks coming down in 2021?
I mean, I got to think about CIP. So one, we just did the recreation courts, as you know, thanks to the city and also to Kiwanis. The rec courts are finished. They look fantastic. We're planning for the November agenda to possibly discuss some pool improvements. Some expensively have planned their CIPs. I'm gonna throw that at Richard. Richard may not know off the top of his head. I don't know. Richard, are you aware of other park CIPs for this current fiscal year?
No, not for this year. I know we just, as you guys know, we did the Camelback playground equipment improvement there, but nothing at this time. Well, let me backtrack on that, because, and it's in the kind of the monthly report there, but Turtle Park, we just had the addition of that sidewalk, that pathway connecting from Indian School down to off of Wigwam Boulevard to Villanueva there. but nothing that I can share at this time.
If I may, the reason for my question was perhaps we could broaden this working group meeting if there are other projects that might be coming that they could tackle.
You mean as far as adding things to the CIP? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm sorry. Just a second. Stop. Get out of here. Sorry, I have a dog in my
No
office
worries.
doing up things she's not supposed to be chewing up. I'm just thinking this meeting, this working group could also discuss other park improvements if they were, to be discussed in 2021 already.
Oh, you mean if there were CIPs planned, they could
Right.
discuss those? Well, sure they could. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they could discuss projects next year too, because I mean,
Yeah, just not
you know-
limited to basketball is my
No.
point.
no, yeah, I agree absolutely. It could be wide open for any park development, benches, playgrounds, basketball, you name it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Other thoughts on this item? Okay. And we'll let you guys know as council wants to loosen purse strings a little bit more. They're being conservative, and that's why the city's in the financial shape that it's in is for those reasons. But again, we'll keep you updated as we know more. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have to set a time frame for that now, Matthew, or can we just let that one go for now and circle back to it?
I would just let it sit for now because it honestly depends on council.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions on that? Are there any other questions? Okay. Next order of business, Recreation Center basketball courts open to the public. This is Pat McCoy and Richard Alvarado. I'll just let you guys take it away.
Pat, would you like to start?
All right. Yeah, thank you for your time. As we discussed in the last meeting about possibly opening the basketball courts and what it would take to kind of try to go through security cameras as well as the fencing to ensure, it's being taken care of, especially since it was just recently redone. As you can tell, I did go and get 2 quotes from security camera companies in Arizona. One of them was verbal, and they said that it would be about $2,000 to $2,500 for all the equipment and the camera, and just one camera to be placed on one of the poles by the courts itself. And then if we were wanting another camera, it'd be an additional $500. And then I also found another quote through Security Lines that that camera is a little bit different. The verbal quote, they say it would just be a still camera that you can zoom in. The other company was doing a pan, so you can move it around and then zoom in and out as well. But the quote from Security Lines obviously is more because it's a more camera, but that's just one camera and all the equipment that would need to be installed in order to do that. And then I believe Richard has the quote for how much the fence would be.
How much was the camera quote again, Pat?
So for the Security Lines, for the one that pan, tilt, and zoom, the total cost would be $3,375. And then the one that just has the one camera that would be placed would be anywhere between $2,000 to $2,500.
So we're looking between $2,000 and $3,375.
Yeah.
Richard, do you mind if I pull a map up before you tell me how much the gate would cost?
Sure. I
Okay,
don't mind.
second. Terry, I'm going to share a screen here for 1 second if I can. Can everybody see my map?
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. So, of course, this is a Google Earth shot of the courts. So here's the basketball courts. You see my mouse. Here's the basketball courts. Here's the tennis pickleball courts that you see. They're nicely and freshly resurfaced. Again, that project was just finished. They look great. So the gate that Richard's going to be talking about would go right here. Okay. So right now there's a gate here that opens up. That's open near business hours, but that opens to either side to here or here. Right now there's no gate here. So if you open this gate, you can't close off these courts because there's not a gate there. There's also an issue there of this wall because the rec offices are right here, or they're in the lobby right here. So it is a little bit of a visibility issue with the current camera makes it hard to see over here just because of angles. I just want you to understand what we're looking at. So, because if we opened up the courts, that's something we want to think about. Is which court do we want to open? So the gate quote would be to put a gate right here, just so you understand. So that's enough of me, Richard.
Yeah, sure. Like Matthew was saying, the gate will go right in between those two sections there. I believe there's another gate on that south end that enters into the basketball court. And then right above there, a little north, go up on your mouse, Matthew, there's a gate that separates the court and the tennis court there, which is already installed. So we did reach out to a company, Biddle & Brown, to install a gate pretty much there. They would use the existing post. They would mount the hardware on the concrete, the brick right there, that divider. In order, they install a latch pretty much, and the gate would just swing open. It would go all the way, basically a 180. So I know swinging it open, sometimes that can get caught or be a hassle, leaving the gate open there, but it should swing about 180. So you would be able to latch it to the fence, or if you wanted to keep it open, or you'd be able to just close it there. But that quote came in, at $1,307.55. So if we decided to move on it, Biddle & Brown, it wouldn't be too long or bad to get on the schedule and have this complete if this is something that we wanted to move forward with.
You said that was 1307, Richard?
Yes, sir. 1307. And on another note, the gate would match the existing fence post. The color would be black. The fencing itself would match all of the other fencing there. So it would pretty much just tie into the existing structure there.
So between your and Pat's quote, so the low end would be looking at a combination of roughly $3,300. On the high end, would be looking for a combination of about $4,700. And the difference there is the cameras, is level of cameras.
Yes.
Would you agree, Pat and Richard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have talked about this as far as having this open during hours. So we do rent these courts during some hours. We wouldn't want to have them open when nobody's there, just because of damage to the courts. But we could talk about certain hours of the day of them being available. Obviously, we do have tennis lessons on the courts. There's things we'd have to discuss certain hours. Maybe we could look at doing a few hours a day as being open play when people are there. But all those things come into play, sir. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I have a question on the camera because I don't really know anything about them. If you have the less expensive one, do you think it's able to see the whole court, or do you need the panorama view to get the whole court?
If we place it in the right direction, you should be able to see, especially if our plan is to use it on the court where if it's on the light poles, then we should be able to see and it'll give a better view than what we would have to do if we try to plant it on where it's currently placed at, which is on the building itself, because as Matthew was saying, the point of angle, the wall, as well as you have the palm trees and the line of sight is just kind of in the way. So my recommendation, if we do move forward, would be putting it on the light post. But if we use one of the correct angles, I think that even the panning is not so much, it's more of the zoom to make sure that if someone's dunking it, we can zoom in to try to get a better view of them as well.
Identify them.
Yep. But
Okay.
I think if we do the panning is not really that much necessary if we get the right angle, I believe.
All right. Thanks.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So the intent of the cameras obviously is to keep the court secure, yes?
Yes.
Is that intended for business hours or outside of business hours?
Sorry about that. My work phone, I was on business. That would be, I think it could be used for both. Obviously if kids, somehow enter during we're closed, we can use it on the cycle and be able to view them that way. It would still be a good idea to have it even during business hours, because the front office won't have a clear sight if someone's on the court, and they can look at the they can see the camera and see that there's someone on the court, whether they have to go and if they're not doing it properly or anything like that as well.
Okay. Second part to that question, is there like, are they motion censored? So like, let's say the center's closed for a week or whatever the case may be, and somebody jumps the fence and starts using it, would they be prompted by motion to start recording, and then you can go back and review those recordings? Is it a hard drive, or what is that?
Those, they believe it is onto a drive where it would record, where you can always view it. And at certain times, like the ones we currently have now, I believe it's recording throughout the entire day. And then I believe at 10 o'clock, it's motion where it start to record at that time. I believe there would be the same concept as that, where during the daytime, it'll be continually ran. And then the other time would only if it's triggered motion.
Okay.
I would say
believe with cameras, we also have to post signs that there are surveillance cameras, right? I believe that's a privacy law.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
That's right. We have had issues with these courts, or with people breaking into these courts. So the main gate that we currently use, so when you close the current gate, it closes off tennis courts and basketball courts as one gate, as one facility, basically. We've already had several issues this year with people popping the gate. So it's more like your classic horseshoe collar, if you understand what I'm talking about, where the horseshoe slides over the post like this, where people have pried it open several times during this year to play at night. I know Pat's ran up there several times because people go up there at 10 o'clock at night, jumped into the courts, and police have been called a few times. They don't really hurt anything. They're just going there to play in the middle of the night. Now, maybe that's because of COVID, because the courts were closed. Maybe they're just bored looking for something to do. I don't know. But that has been an issue several times this year already. Just FYI.
So I have a question. When you walk towards the tennis courts from the main gate, is there a way to close the tennis courts so that only the basketball courts are open? Or is that not something we're thinking about?
We could do that, but it would require a good bit more fencing because it's a wider space. Pat, how wide would you say that entrance is to the tennis courts?
That would have to put in more fencing, I think, to even close to shut it down, because I believe it goes
Pretty wide.
Yeah, it's pretty wide. Without actually being able to measure it, I don't think that there'd be a possibility of doing that without putting new posts in and having to drill into the court itself.
It'd be more than a gate. It would be several dedicated sections, but you'd have to put a gate in, obviously. But yeah, it would take, I'd say it's probably at least, I don't know, on top of my head, 25, 30 feet.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a pretty big part of the initial concern, is that we were just resurfacing the tennis courts, and by opening the basketball courts, we're kind of opening them up to potential, whatever the word is, potential trouble damage or vandalism or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I think the concern was the same concern for the basketball courts.
Yep.
I mean, skateboards, bicycles, all those things. We would have to put signage, and that's why we'd want the cameras so that our staff they can't watch it every second, but they would be able to see if someone's, not using the basketball court properly.
My other question is, what kind of hours are, before we would recommend to go to city council or not, what kind of hours I think would be a good thing to consider? Like how much are we going to be opening these courts for, spending this much money for? Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
It definitely makes sense. Our rec hours change per season because it all depends what sport we're playing at the time. Like we just opened our rec more September 1 due to school starting, and also, of course, for sign-ups for basketball, t-ball, because now we have parents coming in after 5 to sign their kids up for ball. So honestly, it depends what time of the year it was. Obviously, we'd want to set a year-round schedule that worked with all seasons. We'd rather be too lean than too wide on that. Pat, what do you think would be on that as far as a conservative play that would work with all seasons for the rec office being open? You understand what I'm asking, Pat?
Yeah, the best thing, I know that if anything before 4, obviously that runs into school. Because I do close the courts down Monday through Friday during season for teams to practice on at 4:00. The only day that we don't close it down at all would be Saturdays, and that would be if we do like a 9 to noon on a Saturday. That would be all seasons, because even during the summertime, obviously that's getting too hot and stuff. But I don't ever use a Saturday unless someone reserves it. But that's open. Those are our business hours during the winter as well as the summer months. Would be Saturday.
So 9 to 12 on Saturday, Pat. What would you say through the week? I know you said till 4:00, but what about on the bottom end?
I mean, the most easiest route would be if it's non-season, it could be open. But I think if we do, because it just comes down to when school kind of starts back up. If they wanted to come from LAS and come play, I mean, we can do those courts are open pretty much until 4:00. I don't have anything reserved on the basketball courts until 4. So if we wanted to do a 12 to 3:30 or 12 to 4, I think that would be a fine time Monday through Friday. And that would make it so that it's always going to be constant, because those are always going to be our business hours.
I would think it'd be important to have them constant throughout the year. You wouldn't want them to change season to season, because then your signs are a problem people don't know, that kind of thing. Because like, just to give you guys an example, during the summertime when the pool's open, our rec office opens at 6:30 in the morning. So people can come in for Legardos, et cetera, and that kind of thing. But obviously different times of the year it doesn't. So we'd want to make it consistent throughout the whole year. So Pat, you're saying 12 to 4 Monday through Friday and 9 to 12 on Saturday. So you're looking at what, 23? I think it's 23 hours a week.
Something like that, about that, yeah.
Yeah, 23.
Well, may I ask kind of maybe a dumb question that maybe I'm missing something?
I don't know.
Even if the kids aren't back in school, like really back in school, and they're doing virtual school, who's going to use the courts on Monday through Friday from 12 to 3:30?
That's a good question.
Like, I'm not. I don't think you guys are. I mean, I'm not trying to be like a smarty pants, but
no,
it's a legitimate question.
If we're going to spend $3,000 and that's our window to be open, I don't know what target audience we're targeting.
Well, I would think your most desirable hours to be open to the public would be obviously weekends.
Correct.
And would be evenings. But one, if we have lessons on those courts, that's hard to do, and that's revenue for us.
Right.
And two, our staff is only there so late.
Right.
And it'd be nice to keep the courts open until 9, but nobody's there.
Right. So maybe we need to really think about, is it worth $3,000 to have them open for a limited hour on the weekend? Otherwise, we may not even have any clients. I don't know. I mean, I was in favor of the basketball court on Scout Park, and I'd love to have one open, but to spend $3,000 and then just maybe have vandalism and 4 people come and play, I don't know.
I think it's actually closer to $5,000 too, Andy. I don't.
Okay.
On the high end, it would be.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll ask the question. We're never going to have a comfort level of having the courts open while the rec center is not open. Is that what I'm hearing? Are the only times we're considering opening the courts would be when the rec center is staffed and open? Is that what we're thinking? Or would we be open to having the courts available when there's nobody at the rec center?
I think it's much safer to have it only during rec hours, in my opinion.
What's the city's liability if somebody gets hurt at 8:30 at night and the rec center is not open?
I mean, if somebody gets hurt, we're liable either way. I mean, if we're open or if the rec's not open.
Okay.
Obviously, we would have signs of their play at your own risk, but still. So,
But I've been at the rec center since 1982, and we've never had it open to the public, and it's only till we brought this question up about not having a basketball court at Scout Park that the question even really came up. People play at Aleppo Park because there's a couple courts there. And so that's available. So I don't know. I don't know how much of a real need it is if you're going to limit the hours that somebody can be there. Because I agree that we don't want it just open when no one's there, because then there's no one to stop bicycles and drinks being spilled on it. And this is a real surface. It's not just a cement pad. It's a real surface that we just spent, for that court, what, about $10,000
Yeah.
on it, with help from Kiwanis as well. But the whole thing, I think, was close to $25,000 for tennis and basketball.
24 and some change.
Can I ask a question? What's the difference between liability if a kid gets hurt at the rec center courts versus at Aleppo courts?
Could I?
Please.
Yeah. Liability wise, they would have to prove that we were negligent in some way for something. Our insurance does not really cover a child that falls and gets stitches or whatever because they hit their head on the thing. Even at our pool, we have to let people know that they have to have their own personal insurance to cover things like that. Only if we can be shown to be negligent.
Right.
And by letting people be there when we're not monitoring it and not around, that could be one way that someone said, well, you're negligent. You just left it open for people to go in there. So, but otherwise, unless we knew there was a big crack and we didn't fill it, or there was something wrong with one of the, in the area and we didn't take care of it, then we're not really what you'd call liable for anything unless they can show negligence.
Right.
Susan's internet crashed and she's restarting her modem.
Okay.
Her dog jumped on it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you guys, and I mean, I probably was one of the ones that kind of started this little snowball rolling. I mean, it almost sounds to me like it's not worth it at this point, that the times that it's going to be open and who would be available to use it at those times aren't the same group. Anybody else?
Yes, may I say something?
Okay, Joanne.
I agree with Andy. Of course, I was not for the basketball court at the park, but I know that a lot of people have their own basketball thing in the front yard. My grandsons grew up playing with their own basketball court. The boys from the neighborhood would come in front of their house. I know there's a lot of people that have that or did. Now, maybe because we're changing as far as people coming in with younger children, and the others are all gone to college or married by this time. But are we not allowed to go, or not me, but are the basketball players not allowed to go and use the school basketball courts? They are not. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. And I can understand why, again, there's a liability and they don't want to have anything to do with that. Anyway, it is a lot of money to ponder about for such a short period of time in use. And as I say, I agree with Andy on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? If you guys had to estimate, I know this is kind of like a hard one to think about, but what would be the point that you would have to change over the security cameras anyway? So my question is, eventually we would probably have to get new security cameras anyway, right? So what would be that point? Did we just buy a couple a few years ago? I know you said that there's impaired vision from where the camera is now?
The ones that we currently have on this are from 2015. That covers the basketball, the tennis, and then inside the building in the preschool room and then the pool area. So they about 5 years, about 5 years old, but like I said, it's not, they don't zoom in and they don't have the quality to be able to go from where the rec center is to view all the way to the basketball and tennis courts.
Up close. They can't do up close.
Close, yeah. You can see if there's people are on it. It's just you can't zoom in to see if anyone's up close to see who actually is on it at the time. If that makes sense.
So if I'm understanding you, Pat, this isn't something that we would need to replace tomorrow. They're not broken. You know, it's not money that we have to spend.
No, they're working fine. We don't have any issues with them to be able to say that, to just kind of justify of trying to put new cameras in at this time.
So I'm finding myself agreeing with Andy, Joanne. I'm not sure that $5,000 makes it worth it for the amount of time, and I'm almost thinking maybe there's other ways that we could make the courts available during those open times by, I mean, maybe even like a fundraiser or something to, you know, to make it so that a kid never has to pay to play basketball. I don't know, you know what I mean? But like it just doesn't, to me, I'm having trouble with justifying the money for, you know, what we're getting out of it.
Susan?
If I may, I believe our last meeting, we asked you to go and get bids for these cameras because we were going to think about opening it up so that the basketball court issue that's already tabled could maybe be rectified by letting more people play at the rec center. Is that not why we talked about you guys getting bids for security cameras?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. You guys asked us to get quotes for gates and cameras so that the courts could be open to the public. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but they're really only available from 12 to 3:30, so it's really not.
It's limited time.
Yeah, it doesn't serve really public hours. So I don't know that I guess I agree with Andy then that unless the city comes to us and says, hey, we need cameras, we're having, you know, some issues with vandalism and whatnot on the courts, and I don't know that new cameras are going to solve that.
No, that'd just be a matter of catching them more than anything.
Pat, can I ask a quick question? This is Adam. So when obviously in the winter, 4 o'clock, you have practices every night. Do you also have practices in the spring and fall? Obviously not in the summer, but do you have practices in the spring and fall?
Yes, we do have a fall, winter, and spring basketball.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. You know, there's, and I didn't realize it was all, I thought if we just shut it down for winter, not a big deal. But you're right. You know, the prime time is that, you know, 5 to 8 o'clock time to me. And I don't know that it's worth it for the little bang for our buck on this one.
Yeah.
So maybe we say thank you to Pat and Matthew and Richard for doing the legwork that they've done on this, and put it on the assignment of our new working group that's going to be formed as maybe one of their potential topics.
Well, are the gates still necessary though?
No,
No,
I don't think they are.
The gates would be. I think that even if we were talking about opening it up, I mean, they are open as long as the rec center is open and we're not in use, but that would be, I mean, it's still during the school hours. It would be 8 to 4 if we're doing a set thing, but that, like I said, that's still hours. I thought we were talking about possibly having a time frame for letting free use.
Right.
But as long as our rec hours are open, I mean, they're always open. It's just right now they have to come in and pay either a membership or a daily pass, and that way that our staff knows if someone's being used. If it's used, then they can be more aware where we would need that. But so I do apologize for that. I thought we were talking about possibly opening up for free. But I think that for the 4 o'clock would be tough because it is, like I said, fall, winter, and spring. We do have our leagues going on. So.
Are there any other questions, statements, comments, thoughts? Okay, so this is an actionable item. I mean, I don't even know if we really want to take any action right now, huh, Matthew, or?
Mr. Chairman, you could put a vote before the committee if you'd like to. I think we've heard from what their view is on it, but we could certainly have a vote on it to see, just as a matter of record.
Is there anyone in favor? Well, we would need somebody to move, right? We would need somebody.
You would need a motion.
Would anybody like to make a motion to recommend we move forward with the camera and the gate so that we could have open courts Saturdays 9 to 12 and weekdays until 4?
Well, I'll move on that.
So you'll move on the whole thing, Joanne?
Yes.
So you're for that?
No. But you don't have to be for to make a motion.
Right.
So I move that we do what he said. It was a long motion.
It was. So does anybody second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
No.
Aye.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Andy.
Andy seconded?
Yep.
Yes.
But Susan, you voted for both.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. The motion was to not approve.
No, it was to go forward.
Right. So the motion was to
camera and
move
gate.
forward. Right. So the motion would be to move forward with the recommendation of City Council to install the camera and the gate so that we could offer some open basketball court time. Should we vote again, everybody? Okay, so all in favor of that motion to move forward with the gate and the camera so that we could have some open court time, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
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 Motion dies.
All
Am
right.
I off again? Can you
No,
guys
you're
hear
off.
me?
We can hear you, Susan.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
My computer's telling me my internet is unstable.
Oh.
No worries.
My dog's barking, so he's a little unstable.
So for Terry's records,
He-
Matthew, for Terry's records, does she need vote by name or basically there was no one for it? It was,
Well, what I have for no's is Andy, Joanne, and Anthony.
I am a no as well.
Susan,
That was
I'm a
Susan.
no also.
I'm
That
sorry.
was Adam.
Adam is a no?
Yes.
Okay. So it fails.
Did you
Yes.
get Susan also, Terry?
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize. I was misunderstanding.
That's okay.
No worries.
Okay, next we have Trisha Cramer with the City Fall Events Update. Trisha Cramer will update the commission on the upcoming fall events. Trisha?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, commissioners. It's nice to see you all.
Good
I'm
to see
happy
you.
to be. Thank you, Joanne. I'm happy to give you an update. We've got 3 events coming up this fall. Hopefully you're all aware of them, but if not, we'll go through them briefly and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about them. So on Saturday, October 10th, which is this Saturday, the city is hosting our first ever drive-in movie night, and that will take place in the gravel lot at the northwest corner of Old Litchfield Road and Honeysuckle Street. which is just north of Papa Paul's, in between the restaurant area and the church at Litchfield Park.
We're doing a drive-in movie
Yes.
next week.
Yeah,
Correct.
fun.
Fun. Family focused. We're showing a movie called Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Yep, it should be a good one. It's actually funny too, so hopefully we'll hear some laugh out louds from the vehicles. Public Works has already lined the parking lot for us. We've got it sort of theater style. All the rows are angled in towards good viewing of the inflatable projector and screen that we'll have out on Saturday night. It's a 40-foot screen, so it should be plenty big for everyone from the front row on back to the last row to see. We still have tickets available, so please feel free to bring your families out, share it with your friends and the residents. We'd really like to have more people come out there. It's going to be a good event. The Wigwam has offered to do some special to-go menu, which we've got listed on our site and have been sharing on social media. They've got a special menu for people that are coming out to watch the movie. You can go pick up your items from Red's, do a little drive-through on your way into the parking lot. And blanking on the name, I apologize. Ribbon's Tea House is actually going to stay open late that evening till 9:30 for us and serve their drinks, their desserts, and serve popcorn as well. So it should be a fun event, and it's nice to have some of the local businesses latch onto it as well. And we're looking forward to doing that. Any questions on movie night before I move on?
What time?
Sounds great.
So the parking lot will open at 6 o'clock and the movie itself will start at 7:30 and end by 9. So we give people time to get parked, get settled, maybe visit some of the local businesses if they're looking to get something to eat beforehand, and then come on back to their vehicles and enjoy the show.
Is this on the city's Facebook?
Is on the city's Facebook along with a link to the tickets.
Okay.
The ticketing is through Eventbrite, and also on the homepage of our city website, you can see the notice right there that'll link as well, and it's on our calendar.
Perfect.
Trisha,
Okay. Yes, Sunny.
you just shared with us today some new news about that people were asking about bringing their golf carts.
Yes, we have had some people reach out to us to find out if it's okay to bring your golf cart as your vehicle. And the answer is yes, we're going to allow that. There will be no special parking for them. They'll have to fill in the slots just like everybody else. But obviously in a golf cart, if you don't have access to a radio, you would need to bring a battery operated radio or work off of an app on your phone. There are TuneIn Radio, I think, is one that works well with drive-in movies. And so you can do that. We are allowing that. Susan.
I know I'm full of questions. So if people bring their golf carts, are they also allowed to bring their chairs, or do they need to stay in their golf cart?
So for this one, we are asking people to remain in their vehicles.
Okay.
So they would have to stay in their golf carts. Trucks can back in and people can sit in their truck beds. You can open the latch on your trunks if you want to get comfortable and lay all your seats down. But we're trying to keep social distancing in the prime at the moment and ask people to remain in their vehicles. And that info is listed on the sites and on the tickets too.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Exciting.
Okay, I'll share next up is actually October 17th, which is next weekend. Yes, we are busy. Oktoberfest at the Wigwam, we're partnering with them once again this year. It'll be on the lawn. If you haven't heard, it looks a little different this year. Normally we have families and children get in for free and can play and run around in our children's area. Given the pandemic, we've had to be much more conservative with that. So we worked with the Wigwam to have a dining on the lawn option. So it'll be adults only. They'll come in, they'll have their tickets, and as part of their ticket purchase, they pre-select their meals. So the Wigwam will know in advance what they're ordering and can plan accordingly, and will actually be serving people at tables this year in clamshells, in plastic clamshells, to be safe and help protect people. We will have the standard music on the lawn. So the band will be out playing live music, a variety music, and still some of the fun Oktoberfest music. And groups can come in there with families, or small groups can come have their tables for the evening and enjoy their meals, enjoy the music, enjoy conversation with each other. And if they do want to purchase more beverages, beer, wine, sodas, there will be 2 bars out there, but we'll be asking people to not hover around the bars. They'll stay at their tables and then just walk up to purchase drinks and bring them back to their tables. Because food is included this year, the pricing works out to be $35 per person. That gets you your entry, your meal, an initial beer, and a commemorative glass. And from there, you can buy more beverages.
Sounds like fun. More fun.
More fun, yes.
Yes.
I did not mention, but we are maxing the event at 350 people in order to try and keep things safe and be able to have appropriate distance between tables and for people as they do move about. So in past years, for example, last year, we maxed out at 1,400 people on the lawn. So
Right.
it will be a different feel, but I think it really will be a fun time for the community and more community focused this year.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Are you doing pre-sale on tickets, or are you still doing walk-up, or?
Yeah, so pre-sale only through Eventbrite, and we have, same as our movie night, we have that link on our website, on social media, and you can go direct to Eventbrite. And the Wigwam also has those links on their website and their social media. Yeah, no gate walk-ups this year.
Trisha,
Yes.
if there's like 3 of us or 4 of us, we will sit at the one table. No one else will be at that table but us.
Correct. So you would purchase, we have them tables for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So if you're a group of 3, you would have that table for 4. You'd come to that table. On your ticket, it actually will show you what your table number is.
Okay.
And you'll be escorted to your table by Wigwam staff when you get there, and that table is yours for the night. So however long you stay, that's your table, your group's table.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions on Oktoberfest?
Are you looking for volunteers again, Trish, for Oktoberfest?
I would love to tell you yes on this one, but actually we're keeping it close because there will be no walk-ups and no on-site purchases. And so really when we are working that entry gate, all we're doing is scanning tickets and checking IDs and letting people in. So this year we're only relying on the staff from the city and the Wigwam. But I do appreciate that offer.
Question, how are ticket sales going for that?
So right now we're at about 100, and we do have that max of 350. We've been pushing out some e-blast, and so has the Wigwam. So there's thousands of people that are getting it. And the Wigwam did tell us that they do believe it's going to be a lot of last minute this coming week on those sales.
Okay.
People are just choosing to wait closer to events before they decide whether they want to go or not.
Sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trisha?
May I ask how many?
Go ahead, Commissioner. Go ahead, Commissioner.
May I ask how many tickets you sold thus far for the drive-in movie?
So I believe we're at 51 right now.
Okay,
So we do have plenty of space.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Trisha,
Yes.
I may have missed it, but for the Oktoberfest, unless something has changed, you had mentioned in one of our meetings that this is a 21 and over event only.
Yes, correct. No children's area this year.
I know, but not a 19-year-old, not a 20-year-old.
Correct. 21 and over is
Yeah, I just
how,
wanted to make sure. I didn't know if
Yeah.
you had said that or not.
I may have just said adults only, but you're correct. 21 and older, you have to be drinking age. Because your ticket also includes that initial beer.
Mhm.
And on the drive-in movie, you said 50 tickets. So that's 50 cars, not 50 people, correct?
50 cars, that could be 200. It could be more than that, you know.
Depends when they pack in a car.
Yeah, it depends on how many people they pack in the car, but the pay is by vehicle, $10 per vehicle.
Thank you, Trisha.
Mhm. Any other questions on Oktoberfest? Okay, I'll just give you one more quick one then. Our last fall event that we've got coming up is our Litchfield Park Festival of Arts. We are moving forward with that again this year. Council did approve that. It's first weekend in November, November 7th and 8th. It's the 50th annual. Obviously, it will look a little different this year. We won't have a big stage. We won't have a beer and wine garden, but we still will be able to entertain you. We've actually discussed having quadrants of performers that are more acoustic. So as you walk along the festival, those performers will be located in booths. So you will still have some ambiance, some music in the background. It won't just be silent. And artists will be spaced a little bit further apart. They will be required to wear masks. They'll be temperature checked each morning. And attendees will also be required to wear their masks per city ordinance. And I'm trying to think what else I can tell you. We'll still have roughly 150 artists. We're working on our advertising. The event is still free to the public. And we think it will be well attended.
Good. All right.
May I ask Trisha a question? And this actually might be for Matthew, perhaps, but so will there be like hand sanitizing stations at all these events?
There will be.
Okay.
We're adding hand washing stations in a few areas, and sprinkled throughout the festival, there will be hand sanitizing stations for public use as well.
Okay.
And we have asked all of the artists to come prepared with their own at their booth spaces too.
Okay. I think just off the cuff, if people know just that silly little fact, they might be more apt to come out to these events. I think that's the first fear that they think of as, oh, there's going to be people around, and everybody's trying to do their best with social distancing. But I think if they knew that, maybe add that to the marketing. I don't know. I don't know if it's redundant, but.
Yeah, definitely. The more we can make people feel comfortable being out there, the more likely they are to come. So absolutely.
I'll spread the word as much as I can.
Thank you. Any other questions on our fall events?
No.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share them, guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Trisha.
Okay. Staff report on current events. This is going to be Matthew, Richard, and Pat. Matthew, do you want to start?
Sure. So just to skim a few on mine, of course, you see my report in your packet. So Trisha already covered the event and says did a great job as always. Thank you, Trisha. Pat can talk to you more about sports. As you'll see, we did cancel fall basketball due to low signups because we have issues with that because due to COVID, people are afraid to sign up. But because of that, they wait to see other people sign up, and then they don't sign up. It's kind of a downhill snowball, unfortunately. And then we have people saying, oh, I wanted to play, but I want to see more people. Well, So does everybody. You know, that's like we did a survey for preschool recently because, as you know, we have a city-run preschool about when do you want to bring your kids back? Well, we want to bring our kids back when we see other kids there and that it's safe. Well, okay, somebody's got to be the first kid. You know, unfortunately, that's kind of a glitch there. But anyway, but I'll let Pat talk about sports. Recreation Center, as I said, our rec hours have changed. So one thing we recently did was our parks have reopened for rentals. They are for groups of 49 people or less. They must still be socially distanced. They must still wear a mask if they're within 6 feet of each other. The 6 feet of each other thing, that's something the mayor did months ago in the resolution, is that anytime you're outside of your home, if you're within 6 feet of somebody, you must wear a mask. So you can still rent the parks for groups of 49 people or less. But again, if you're going to be within 6 feet of each other, wear a mask. Our rec center gym has reopened. We are opening that to only one person at a time. It does have to be clean between users. They do have to wear a mask. I know some of you may feel as I do, it's weird to wear a mask while you work out. Pretty much ever done that. But that came down from the governor's office, not from us. That's just something on gyms right now. So, but again, those have both opened recently. As far as City Line, we haven't done a City Line in a while because of COVID. As you know, COVID's messed up everything in this world, seems like to me. But COVID, our City Line is changing, and we are planning to have a City Line edition out in early December. So I would look for a new format on that. We have staff that's working on a new format for that. Some of you, I don't know if you know, but so one of our former staff members, Chris, had been the rec office manager for years and also produced the City Line. And Chris passed away a few months ago recently due to a cancer battle. So we're certainly sad to lose Chris. She's been a city employee 23 years. And of course, that changes things up for staff work that we do. But City Line will be coming back and look for format changes again. They'll probably be early December. Also, as I said, preschool is still closed. Staff is itching to open preschool. However, we follow the Litchfield Park school calendar, the school district, I should say. Right now, they're doing a hybrid model. They have kids in office or in class a few days a week, at home a few days a week. We are not going to open our preschool again until there's kids in those classrooms 5 days a week. What we keep hearing from the school is that, well, sometime after fall break, our kids are coming back. It's fall break this week. So we're waiting to see a date when that's going to be, but there has been no hard date set by Litchfield Park School District. I would like to tell you that preschool will be back in session next week. I don't know if it will be this calendar year or not. It's just wait and see. And unfortunately, as you guys know, it's flu season, so numbers are going back up a little bit. It is what it is. So anyway, but if preschool open tomorrow, we're ready. We bought desks. We've separated things out. We're ready for those kids to come back. It's just a matter of being able to. That's all. That was everything I had. So, Pat, would you like to talk to them about flag football and basketball?
Yes, as Matthew said, unfortunately, we did have to cancel a fall season due to the low numbers. And I got quite a few people that registered eventually after registration closed from flag saying, I'm glad I went. I was just waiting to see if it was going to go before I registered it. So I'm always trying to push people well, if you don't register, we won't get the numbers. And unfortunately, that's what happened with basketball. So we were able to do our T-ball for 3 and 4 year olds and 5 and 6 year olds, as well as our 6 and 7 flag and our 8 to 10 flag. When registration ended, we had just barely enough to possibly get kids on a team to do 4. And between then and now, we were completely full in T-ball in both divisions at 40 kids each. And then on flag football, we have about 9 spots that we had to leave open. But compared to where registration was, we did get the numbers to do that for both the sports. So we're excited for that. Week 1 was this past Saturday. The kids seemed excited to be back out there and playing. We had parents seemed to be excited to get the kids back out there and playing. So we're excited to continue. Week 2 is this upcoming Saturday. We play at Scout Park for flag football and Jackie Robinson Field for our T-ball leagues. And then Monday, our registration for winter basketball did open. in hopes that we do get the numbers to be able to move forward with that league. And since Monday, I checked this since about 4 o'clock this afternoon, we had 25 kids already registered in that total. So compared to where we were at the start of the fall, that's a really good start to it. So I think parents are starting to think towards that and get excited for basketball, hopefully to start back up in January. Our tennis program, we opened up our October and November classes are completely full. And then we open up the next 3 months on Monday as well. And those are also almost full. So I think just everyone's just excited to get back out there and get to going. So and that's all I have.
Thank you, Pat. Richard?
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, for the Public Works Department, in the monthly report here, as you can see, the Public Works crews continue to do our regular maintenance throughout the city, which I believe our crew has been doing an excellent job in these times of COVID and kind of these restrictions that we have. But nevertheless, I think they're doing a great job out there in the regular routine of the maintenance. Couple good things that we're excited of in the areas of interest here. We just newly added 2 new vehicles to our fleet, which our staff is very excited about that. We are waiting to get them, get the decals put on, some safety lights, and a couple other accessories before we actually get them out in the field. So that was pretty exciting. We have a newly appointed Deputy Director of Public Works, his name is Kyle Ames. So that was Kyle has been with us for a little over a year in the Public Works Department. So like I said, he's newly appointed Deputy Director, which we're excited about that. He's been doing a great job for the past couple of months, or for the first month now. A couple other things to touch on. As you know, this time of the year, we are getting into the prepping and as well as starting the overseeding process in all our parks and our right-of-ways. So we love this time of year. This is the time of the year the parks right-of-ways they start to really shine with the overseeding process. So before that, our crew did head out and kind of prep the areas. We did some aeration of all the parks as well as the right-of-ways in preparing for the overseed. So we are currently still working on that. So if you see us around town, that's kind of where you'll see us doing for the next, I want to say, 2 weeks. And the other thing, we have some new additions of the crosswalks. So this one is actually an improvement over there in Old Litchfield Road, in between the lake and Staggs Park. We had the crosswalks kind of installed there, the high visibility. We had the curbing painted red for no parking, as well as some other signs added there. I think it was a great idea. But the addition of those crosswalks has shown, I would say, some improvements with parking there, as well as citizens or residents being aware as they drive through Old Litchfield Road. A couple other areas where crosswalks were added, I believe, was Campbell, right, just west of Old Litchfield Road that connects the pathway. I believe it's the Allegra pathway there, as well as Fairway, right just south of Scout Park. So that's kind of where the Public Works Department has been, and kind of how our month is. So that's all I have to report at this time. Yes, sure. You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
Nope, no questions.
Okay.
So next is Commissioners' report on current events. This is the time when commissioners may present a brief summary on current events. The commission may not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take any legal action on the information presented pursuant to ARS 38-431.02. Okay, who has a current event they'd like to present?
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I say one thing before we wrap up?
Go right ahead, sir.
I would just like to thank our city clerk for being here with us tonight. Normally, as you know, Stacy does these meetings. Stacy was unavailable due to personal reasons. And we would like to thank Terry for being here with us. Terry really stepped up and recorded the meeting, set up the call for us, and is doing the minutes. And we really appreciate her doing this for us. Terry, thank you for being here with us tonight.
You are very welcome. It's nice to see everybody.
She
Good to
just,
see you, Terry.
she missed us.
I did.
Yes, she did. She always has.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anthony, is this the time where I can recommend something for discussion at our next meeting?
Yeah, you could present something, Adam, for sure. We can't really comment on it or, recommend action, but if you want to present something and say, I'd like it to, be something we all think about and then get it on the agenda for next meeting, for sure.
I know a couple of last year, a couple of years ago, we discussed like trash can locations and things like that. And I think that Andrea probably sees it as well as I do. The area at the end of Valverde Circle West, where it abuts the golf course, unfortunately, our residents think that's just a place for dogs to poop and not pick it up. And I want to recommend for perhaps a dog waste station and a trash can there next to that bench, in the hopes that people would make use of it and clean up after their pets. And I understand that would have to be something for next month's agenda, but I wanted to get it on there for discussion.
If you see any
other areas.
Yeah, if you see any little signs out there, Adam, don't look my way.
Or mine.
There's one dog every day. Every day.
Is it the same dog every day?
Yep.
Yep, I know, and I know they're going out early because it's usually done by the time I get there at 4:30.
Yep.
And so I tried going earlier last week and I couldn't catch anybody. I'm about to put my trail cameras up there.
Well, thank you for that, Adam. For sure, we could definitely get that on the agenda for next month. Pardon me. Is there anything else, anybody? Does anybody want to move to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Would anybody like to second the movement to adjourn the meeting?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent. The meeting's adjourned, guys. Thank you all very much.
Good night, everyone. Good to see
night.
you.
Aye.
Aye,
Good to
thank
see
you.
everybody.
Good night.
Roll
Good
Tide,
job.
Alabama fans.
Or damn Eagle, buddy. Bye, guys.
Bye.